I wrote my book, Jerusalem in the Quran, and much of today's lecture is there in that book, Jerusalem in the Quran, 15 years ago. And in that book I argued, if he is to successfully pursue the mission of impersonating the true Messiah and convincing the Israelite people that he is indeed the true Messiah, he will have to do a number of things that all appear to be impossible. Every single one of them appears to be impossible. How will he do it? Number one, Allah had declared in the Quran that there was a town that he destroyed. وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ. He uses the word قَرْيَةٍ. And he said, أَهْلَكْنَاهَا, we destroyed it. And expelled the people of that town. And placed a ban on them. أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. They can come back as tourists, but they cannot come back to reclaim this town as their own. Which town is it? Twice in the Quran, Allah refers to Qaryah, and it is always Jerusalem. And so we are on fairly solid foundations when we say that when Allah spoke of the Qaryah in this ayah, it's Jerusalem. He destroyed it. He expelled the Israelite people, and he placed a ban on them that they could never return to reclaim holy Jerusalem as their own, and for 2,000 years they could not. The Ummah of Muhammad ﷺ took control of Jerusalem very quickly. Very quickly. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu made it his point of duty to search and find where was the masjid located. And he found it was a rubbish dump. This was the pain and anger that the Christians had over what the Jews had done. So it was a rubbish dump. And he himself went to work with the companions to clean up the spot. And then after it had been cleaned, he then ordered, wait until rain falls 3 times. And then on this spot, we will build the masjid, or rebuild the masjid. So for us, we have not even a shadow of a doubt that the present structure is on the spot that Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu recognized to have been the exact location on which Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam built the masjid. So, number one, if he is to successfully impersonate the Messiah, and the Muslims have been ruling over the Holy Land for 1400 and something years, he will have to liberate the Holy Land for the Israelite people. Only then they will recognize maybe this is the Messiah. And so he started something, you may have heard about it, it's called the Crusades. And when a British general entered into Jerusalem in November 1917, his name was General Allenby, he confirmed what we knew all the time. He confirmed it. He said, today the Crusades have ended. So number one, objective has been achieved. The Holy Land has been liberated, and the British general has played a very significant role in it. Number two, he's got to bring the Jews back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. And between 1917 and 1948, Britain was the mandate power, mandated by the League of Nations to take control, political control over the Holy Land. And during that time, the Jews returned, the Israelites returned to the Holy Land. But they were a different people who had no genetic links with Ibrahim alayhi salam and with the Oriental Jews who are all a Semitic people. These were a European people who had no genetic links. They were not Semitic people at all. They were European Jews. But that's another story. You've got to go to the book on Gog and Magog to read that. And so by 1948, a significant number of Israelite people had returned to the Holy Land. And they had not returned as tourists. They come back to stay. And so number 2 has been achieved. The Jasad is on his way. Number 3, he'll have to restore a state of Israel in the Holy Land and get the Israelite people to eventually accept that this is Holy Israel. And this is why a state of Israel was born in 1948. Objective number 3 has been achieved. The state of Israel at this time, even a Jew will tell you, no, it's not yet Holy Israel. How can it be Holy Israel when it's using bogus paper money? Huh? You leave that for the Islamic republics. But Holy Israel can't be Holy Israel using bogus paper money. So unless and until Israel is using gold and silver coins as money, legal tender, and there is no other competing money in the market that is bogus, how can it be called Holy Israel? So one day we know that this Israel will be using, you want to hear the term? Sunnah money. And we say we are Sunni. I pray to Allah, please take me away from the world before that day. I don't want to live to see that day, because the shame and the disgrace will be too great for me, for this Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. That they should bring back the money that is in the Quran, that they should bring back the money that is in the Sunnah, and all that we do is to eat biryani and go to sleep, or take up boxing gloves, for this firqa bandi. Take me away from this world, leave it for them. I don't want to see that day. So, number 3, Holy Israel. It seems to be its on its way. But number 4, he has to take this state of Israel and get it to become a ruling state in the world. That is a tall order. He achieved the impossible. He liberated the Holy Land for the Jews. He achieved the impossible. He brought the Jews back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. He achieved the impossible. He restored a state of Israel in the Holy Land 2,000 years after Allah had destroyed it. And now all that is left is to cause this Israel to become the ruling state in the world. When will we learn to study the Quran? When? When will we stop betraying the Book of Allah? When? Allah speaks, before we turn to the Quran, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is in the city of Yathrib, and after he died they renamed it Medina. And a companion comes to him and narrates to him something about Dajjal. And his name is Tamim Dari. And the Prophet ﷺ then says to the people, sit down. Tamim Dari has come to tell me something about Dajjal, which confirms what I've been saying to you. And then we get it from the lips, the blessed lips of the Prophet ﷺ. And you must have all read the hadith of Tamim Dari, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Have you read it? Tamim Dari said that he and some maybe 40 of his companions went on board a ship. And a storm came and blew the ship for 40 days, for a whole month. So we have to eliminate the Red Sea, because in less than 4 hours you reach the land. And we will therefore have to agree that it has to be the Mediterranean Sea. We'll eliminate the other side soon. And after a whole month they reached to land, and it's an island. Don't ask me how they knew it was an island. And when they got on shore, they were confronted by this hairy beast called Jassasa, the one who's called a spy. And he directs them to Dajjal. The text of the hadith in Sahih Muslim, I believe, does not mention a ruined monastery. But there must be some other text where I found it. I still can't remember now. So they went there and they met Dajjal. And they described him. Yeah. A young man, powerfully built, you know? And he had the curls at the side of the head. But he was in chains. His hands were chained to his neck, and his feet were chained together. And he questioned him several questions, and you can do your homework. And he said, I am Dajjal. Up to now, he's not been released. He's in chains on an island. When I am released, I'll enter every town and every city. And the Prophet ﷺ went on to say, but not Mecca and Medina. This is when he is in human form. Now then, the Prophet went on ﷺ to say that when Dajjal is released on this island, he will live on earth for 40 days. Yawmun ka sana, one day which will be like a year. Yawmun ka shahr, one day which will be like a month. Yawmun ka jum'ah, one day which will be like a week. Wasairu ayamihi ka ayamikum, and all his days, yani all the rest of his days, will be like your days. Indicating that it is only at the end of his mission that he will be in our material universe. Our material universe, our world of space and time. Prior to that, he is on earth, but like the angels and like the jinn, he is on earth, but not in our world of space and time. East and west belong to the world of space and time, isn't it? And north and south belong to the world of space and time. The Prophet said, pointing to the east, from Medina, pointing to the east, Dajjal will come from the east, he'll come from the east, he'll come from the east. Indicating that it is when he is in our material universe, when he is in our world of space and time, at that time, he will come from the east. If you had done your homework, you would not send me 100,000 emails. Sheikh, didn't you study geography? How can you say Dajjal is the island of Britain is the island of Tamim Dari when the Prophet said he'd come from the east and Britain is in the west? Sheikh, go and do some geography. I get 100,000 emails from these schoolboys. When he is released, he lives on earth for 3 periods of time. One which will be long, another which will be a shorter period, and a third one which will be the shortest period before he enters into our world of space and time. So Dajjal is here on earth for a long, 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 long time, but not as yet in human form, and you can't see him. So don't eat your biryani and go home to sleep. I have argued in my book that the island is Britain. And I have pointed out a substantial amount of evidence that supports my claim that the island is Britain. I may mention only the Balfour Declaration, for example, that Britain has a mysterious link with the Holy Land. Yes, for all of its modern history. An inexplicable link with the Holy Land, of which only one thing I mentioned, the Balfour Declaration. So I say that the island was Britain. So when he's released, in a day which is like a year, the longest period of time, it is from Britain that he commences his mission to eventually rule the world from Jerusalem. Now we may turn to Surah Al-Mursalat of the Quran. I have already quoted from Surah Al-Sabah, no, Surah Al-Sad, and then from Surah Al-Anbiya, the Qarya, the town. But I left out the piece on Gog and Magog. And now I'm quoting from Surah Al-Mursalat. And Allah says, Intaliku, proceed. Yani proceed in the historical process. Ila zillin, to a shadow. A shadow will come upon the world. And that shadow will be there for a long, 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 long time before the sunlight will come again. And if you have eyes and you can't see, you won't be recognizing that this is a shadow. And you would not long for the day when the sunlight will come again. Intaliku ila zillin zi salasi shu'ab. The shadow will manifest itself in three parts or three stages. Which shadow is it? My ta'wil, and again you must not accept it unless you are convinced, no? I'll be disappointed in you, is that Allah in this Quran, in this ayah of the Quran, is referring to the three stages of Dajjal's mission on earth before he appears in our world of space and time. But you do not have to accept my opinion. If you find something else which convinces you, by all means, do please reject my view. I don't need any boxing gloves. In the first stage of his mission, I say, Britain acted mysteriously. In the world of money, for example, if you want to rule the world, you got to take control of money. And not through the proper way. You got to do it through the crooked way to take control of the money. And that's what they did. The Bank of England was established, and then eventually paper money came out. And that's your homework. The monetary system which came out of Britain, with the British sterling pound as the international currency, and Britain becoming the ruling state in the world, and they call it Pax Britannica. Now, let me share with you a moment of advice. You are here in Britain. You are more favorably placed than the fella in Pakistan or in Egypt to study the subject, because it's from here it started. All that you have to do is to protect your wives and children. protect your wives and children. You can't do that in the cities. No. Once you have protected your wives and children, utilize the opportunity, particularly if you've been born in Britain, to study the subject. Study the monetary system which emerged out of Britain. Study the scientific and technological revolution which emerged out of Britain. Study the industrial revolution which emerged out of Britain. Study the feminist revolution which emerged out of Britain, all of which are linked with Dajjal. If you do your homework, you graduated from a Darul Uloom, and you have done your homework, you can emerge in Britain as the best scholars of Islam anywhere in the world today. That's my guidance to you at the age of 75. I've traveled the road. I know the road, okay? And I say that this is Dajjal in his first stage with Pax Britannica. And then came second stage, when mysteriously Pax Britannica rode into the sunset and Pax Americana replaced it. And the monetary system experienced a revolutionary change, with the British sterling pound being replaced by the US dollar, and you got homework to do. I studied monetary economics, international monetary economics, in 2 universities. The normal Maulana or Sheikh or Mufti never had this chance, okay? And unfortunately, he's giving fatwas without knowledge. But you have a chance now, and you should make use of your chance to study the subject. How did the US dollar replace the sterling pound? Go and look at the Bretton Woods Accord, study the Bretton Woods Conference. Go and look at the International Monetary Fund, the Articles of Agreement, and locate the conflict with the Sharia. They have not done that. The scholars of Islam, they have not done that. But you can do it. You can do. I'm inviting you tonight, thanks to the invitation of Dr. Salim. This is your homework. And then look to see, how is it that the US dollar survived when the French attacked it from 1966 to 19? Help me, somebody?
71.
71 is correct. We've got some good students here. When the French attacked it, Charles de Gaulle, and in 1971 the US dollar suffered a massive blow, when they had to renege on their obligations under international law to do what? To do what?
Richard Nixon.
To redeem, correct word, to tell them, Farouk.
Redeem the US dollar for gold.
At what rate?
35.
Excellent, mashallah, we got good students. To redeem, that's the correct word, to redeem US dollars for gold at the rate of $35 US for 1 ounce of gold. International law. And they reneged. They said, Richard Nixon, we gave our word, but we don't have to keep our word. And then from 71 to 73, the US dollar is in no man's land. And then in 1974, what happened? Petrodollar is correct. Petrodollar came into being. And is there any reference in the hadith to the petrodollar?
Yes.
Yes, which one?
Mountain of gold.
The mount, mashallah. Mashallah. You need me here? Look at that. They all know the subject already. The Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, if you've been eating biryani and going to sleep and not doing your homework, he said, hadith is in Sahih Bukhari, he made a prophecy of Akhirul Zaman. He said that the river Euphrates will uncover a mountain of gold, and people will fight for the gold, and 99 out of every 100 would be killed. And each would say, I will be the one who will survive, but the believers must not touch that goal. And we have analyzed this hadith to say, this is the hadith that prophesies the petrodollar and eventually the Malhama or the Armageddon. And so the US dollar survived and then flew higher than ever before. But now we are located at that point in time when stage 2 is ending and the US Pax Americana is riding into the sunset. But we knew it a long time ago. They didn't know it in the Department of Political Science in their universities. No, but we knew it. Read my book, Jerusalem and the Quran. How did we know it? Because we have the Quran, that's why. And we have Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that's why. And tonight I'm here asking you, please don't betray the Quran. Please don't betray the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Think, use your thinking capacity and stop this nonsense. Stop this nonsense fighting amongst yourselves over peanuts. If you want to identify yourself with this sect and to call that one kafir and to fight with each other, please don't be my student. Go find somebody else. I want serious students. And I want students who will seek to unite. Unite the believers, not divide them. Well, then when the United States rides out into the sunset, who will replace it? And we say that their plan is Pax Judaica. And so this is not yet the most oppression that we face. There's more coming. There are more coming. There are two people who stand in the way of Pax Judaica. And they are the world of Islam and the world of Orthodox Christianity. And Allah speaks in the Quran, and I don't want to take much more time. I've already taken 1 hour. And I want to spend a little time on this ayah before I end. It is in Surah Al-Ma'idah. And Allah speaks and He uses fi'l mudariya, which is the present and future, وَلَا تَجِدَنَّ. And you will most certainly find أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ عَدَاوَةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الْيَهُودِ. That the Jews would have the greatest hatred and enmity and hostility for you. This happened at the time when the Quran was revealed, and this is happening one more time at this time. This is a factual statement. No one will dispute with it. وَالَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا. And at the time when the Quran was revealed, those who were engaged in blasphemy, in worshipping the idols and so on, were the ones who had the greatest hatred and hostility. And today's godless civilization, which worships itself rather than Allah, is following in their footsteps. So this also is fulfilled. وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُمْ. At that time, when the Jews display this hatred for you, these are not my words, these are the words of the Quran. At that time, you will find أَقْرَبَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. That there will be a people who will be closest in love and affection for you. Tell me, I'm talking to the schoolboy now, if you don't mind. Does the Quran say that they will take the Shahada and become Muslims? Huh? Please tell the schoolboy to read the Quran. Allah never said that they will take their Shahada and become Muslims. Allah never said that. That is not a part of the prophecy. No. So don't jump up on the table and say, take the Shahada, take the Shahada. Go read the Quran. وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أقربهم مودة للذين آمنوا الذين قالوا إن نصارى. They will be a people who will proclaim that we are Christians, and therefore they're not secularized. Their primary identity is this, their Christianity. ذلك بأن منهم قسيسين. They have the priesthood, which is still intact. The priest occupies a very high position, and with the church, they don't sell their churches to McDonald's hamburgers and Kentucky Fried, and the cathedral is now a bingo hall. No. Warhbana, and they also have the institution of monasticism. You know these Christians. You'll be able to recognize these Christians because they still hold on to the institution of Rahbaniya, the monastic way of life, the monastery, the monk. Where today in the world do you find them? Huh? Where in the world do you find those Christians? You don't have to do much research to find out who are the Christians. What is wrong that you cannot use your mind to think? How long will you wait? I have lectured on this subject so many times, people are fed up now. Sheikh, don't you have anything else to talk about? وَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ. They're not an arrogant people. They don't want to rule the world. They don't want to establish what they call full spectrum dominance over the whole world. Not these Christians. Who are they? And my answer is the Orthodox Christian world. These are the two people who stand in the way. The world of Islam and the Orthodox Christian world. And so it is natural that these two worlds will come together at this time when stage 3 is about to start. And when the schoolboy, who is now the President of the United States of America, took the step to extend formal recognition to Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, he gave the city to the Jews. And he left the Muslims and he left the Christians out into the cold. Result? Implication? It is now inevitable, they can't stop it, that the world of Islam and the world of Orthodox Christianity are destined to come closer to each other. There's much more we can speak on this subject, but time has run out now. I want to leave some time for questions and answers. It is when a day like a week has ended, Pax Judaica has been established. It is only at that time that the Jasad will appear in human form. But the Jasad will have to be born, because the Jews will not accept him unless they can see the lineage to Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then he will grow up. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam gave us a description. And of course he'll have to destroy the masjid to build the temple, otherwise they will not accept him. So there might be some convenient earthquake or something. And on that day, it's going to be terrible in the world, because no Muslim and no Christian is going to accept that. I wish I had time to speak about the timeline of events. The Umran Bayt al-Maqdis, Kharabu Yatrib, Khuruj al-Malhama, Fathul Constantiniya. Fathul Constantiniya, Khuruj al-Dajjal, this timeline of events. But eventually he will stand up in Jerusalem and declare, I am the Messiah. I want to share with you my view that it is only at that time and not before. They may not agree with me in Iran. It is only at that time and not before that Allah will send Imam al-Mahdi. And after Imam al-Mahdi has come, he is our leader. He is the Imam of the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And if you have your thinking caps on, you'll be understanding what I'm saying. because I don't want to elaborate any further than that. He's going to be the Imam of the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. That's his function. And then come Nabi Isa alayhi salam, who will be recognized by both the world of Islam and the world of Orthodox Christianity. And that's where I want to end my subject, because what remains after that is a little bit difficult to explain. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.